XRP fell by almost 4% yesterday, in line with our expectations. Today, we're going to be sharing our short, medium, and long-term views for XRP given the latest market crash. As we get into today's video, if you do find it useful, smash that like button if you're new, subscribe, and let's jump right down into today's analysis. We're going to kick things off on the small time frames, talking about XRP paired up with USDT on the 1 hour Binance chart. We were expecting this move yesterday down to the range between 55.24 and 55.68 cents. We actually saw a bit of a move deeper than this, and that's a bit of a problem for XRP's price action, but I don't think it's overly too problematic. But I do want to kind of reflect on what the possibilities are due to this slightly lower move at 55.04. Okay, so our expectations were to come down into this range and potentially go long. And well, we actually did rally up quite nicely here, which would have seen some significant profits if we were going long with some leverage involved. This was a 3.34% move. We got rejected again on that 50 SMA and 50 EMA, 50 SMA, sorry, the yellow line, and the 200 EMA there, the white line. The rejection with no closed positions above the 50 EMA, the blue line as well. Okay, but we were targeting out 59 to 60 cents. So this potential rejection is a bit of a worry, considering we actually came down deeper than our original expectations. So what is this and why is it a problem? Well, this potentially means that our WXY wave is actually going to morph and turn into more of a WXY X and Z pattern, meaning that we're likely to see another slip to the downside before we get into that bigger run to the upside. Let me reflect and show you where I think things could potentially be going here for XRP. Okay, we're looking for also for Bitcoin to also move down quite nicely as well. So our new range of expectations are going to have to be a little bit deeper here for XRP before we get into that big run that I've been talking about. Okay, and that's going to change those targets as well. So let's go ahead and just readjust considering we have new data available to us. Okay, so I'm going to remove off the fibs there, and I'm going to put this down on the lower range expectations. Okay, our low range expectations for the next move for XRP is quite broad. A Z wave is usually quite broad because it can be so many different patterns that are forming inside of it. And that means that we're likely to see somewhere between 54.59 and 55.95 cents. Okay, so that's going to be where we finish off this X wave, in my opinion, before we start talking about this next big run to the upside, which I do think is going to be a pretty significant move for anyone who's going to be trading with leverage. Right now, obviously, if I'm going to be trading on leverage, I'm going to be trading with BitGet or Blowfin. These are my two go-to platforms when it comes to leverage-based trading, both fantastic and really intuitive and easy to use platforms. Well worth checking it out if you haven't done so already. Okay, so what I'll be looking for here is not necessarily to go short on XRP. I mean, we could. I think that opportunity probably would have happened a couple of hours ago, but I think the bigger opportunity here is to potentially go long once we get into this range down here. We're putting our stop loss a little bit deeper, but there's a few things that I want to reflect on before we get there. There's this idea that we could come down to the 53.26 to 54.03. Okay, so before we go long, we want to see a good, strong support level being found, and that we do not get any closed positions lower than the previous swing low, which I'm going to draw right in here on this one, which is 54.52 cents. Anything lower than 54.52 cents is going to void a long position. So our approach here will be quite simple. If we're going to go long somewhere in this range, let's hypothetically say right here at 54.9, we're going to put that stop loss just lower than 54.52, and we're going to target to go long here. Okay, it will be a very significant one that will last a significant period of time because we are looking for at least 58.39 cents. Okay, so a great risk reward ratio of about 8.12, and that stop loss is basically going to be your insurance should this structure change. Okay, so that's how I would approach it. If we do lose this area of 54.52, then the long position has to happen somewhere down here with a stop loss a little bit deeper in price action, somewhere around 52.8 or 52.9, and then we target out a new swing high. Okay, so lots of ways to look at the market, but obviously I'll be giving you daily updates as to where I think think the price action is heading. So by staying in tune and basically keeping up to date with all the technical analysis videos that I do on XRP on the channel is going to pay dividends in the long run, at least in my humble opinion. So where we sit at the minute is we don't have to worry about that break of structure or that move to the downside, because we are still within our structure here for this run towards 58 cents. But I'm expecting the price action to be negative before we go positive. Okay, now our stochastic RSI on the 1 hour time frame is already approaching the overbought, so we're getting close to rejection and we're getting close to a push to the downside. Okay, we could go short if we wanted to, but it's not really my preferred thing to do considering how small of a move this is likely to be. Okay, so the next big move on the hourly chart will be the bigger swing to the upside. Okay, so we're going to look somewhere between 54.58 and 56.01 to be the area in which we kind of go long with a stop loss lower than 54.52 and targeting out take profit at 58.39. We want a minimum risk reward ratio of 1.5, and that will be my approach to the smaller timeframes. Now, this is something that's going to be quick in and out, in my opinion. Probably should take no more than kind of 24 to 48 hours, but it's one of those things that I can't time the market. It'll take whatever length of time it takes to play out. We know where breaker structures are. We know where we need to put our stop losses. We know where we need to put our take profits, and essentially that should be a pretty solid trade in my opinion. But it's just my opinion. I am no financial advisor. I cannot offer you financial advice. All I can do is share you my thoughts and opinions and the data in the charts as I personally see it. Let's go back to the charts now and reflect on the larger timeframes for XRP. As we go up into the daily time frame here, we can see that this volatility is very much in line with our expectations around the support levels that we are seeing with a 50 SMA, the yellow line, the 200 EMA, the white line, and the blue line, the 50 EMA. Now, we can see here a golden cross is about to happen here for XRP. This is a huge opportunity for that long position on the daily time frame. But again, these are slightly laggy indicators, so just be aware that you might not see an instant reaction by traders. But a golden cross, which essentially is your 50 SMA, the simple moving average, crossing up higher than the 200 EMA. And you can see here we're a couple days out from that activity. So expect volatility and expect a bit of a break to the upside, in my opinion. And we are, of course, on the daily time frame targeting out a pretty significant breakout for XRP between 75 and 85 cents. Okay, that's where we're targeting out this bigger move in the market. We're looking at some potential volatility on the smaller timeframes for sure. Okay, we might actually have to come down much deeper, maybe testing out the 50 cent area before we get into this bigger run to the upside. But this run to the upside is something that we are foreseeing happening here for XRP. Now, my approach on a long position here for the daily time frame is very different to that of the smaller timeframes. On the smaller timeframes, you're in, you're out, you're closing positions, you're actively trading a lot. On the daily timeframes, you're not doing anywhere near that kind of activity. You have to have balls of steel almost when you're doing long-term trades. You're not closing in and out of positions all the time. You are basically in a position for potentially weeks on weeks. Okay, now my approach here would be that we go long. We put the stop loss lower than the previous swing low, which was our 5th of August swing low. Okay, so that was coming in at 43.19. Okay, and we're going to target out a minimum of 75 cents. We're looking for at least a risk reward ratio of 1.5, and this is easily a risk reward ratio of 2.0 or higher. Okay, so this area would be the idea. Now, I think we're going to see a bit more of a better entry, so we can drop down. We would use very small leverage on such a position like this. We're not looking for big leverage positions. We're not doing anything crazy. This would be a potentially 41% move with leverage, could be very, very lucrative. Okay, so it's a very different approach. It's a very much a different strategy on trading on a daily time frame versus that of the smaller time frame. These are crucial things that is important to understand. If you don't understand the differences on the timeframes, join us in our free Discord server and we can try to help you understand why you have to approach different timeframes with a different strategy. Okay, so join us in the free Discord linked in the description below. But ultimately here for XRP, things are looking pretty good in my opinion. We can see that there's some good growth potential here with a massive breakout for XRP in the near future. But again, it's going to take weeks to play out. It's not something that I'm envisioning is going to happen right away. And we may actually see more slippage to the downside before we get into that bigger run to the upside. Okay, it's going to be fueled by a lot of speculation around fundamental things, i.e. what's going on with the SEC versus Ripple. Now, on a bigger macro scale, something that's going to take take a very long time to play out. We're talking 2025 peak. Well, we are targeting out 559 to 1125. That hasn't changed. That remains very much true. The only way that this kind of changes in my analysis is if we go down lower than 28.72 cents, which in my opinion is very, very unlikely to happen. But everything is possible, so it's worth mentioning. Ultimately, I do see a fantastic run to the upside, and these may be really conservative targets, $5.59 to $11.25, but they are my conservative, realistic price expectations for XRP across the next several months. Now, of course, depending on whether fundamental shifts and changes with new adoption, new partnerships, whether many banks around the world decide to use XRP as a bridge asset, then these things could potentially change those targets. But considering all the data that I have today and all the trading activity that we see inside the charts, 559 to 1125 feels like the most realistic price expectation to have for XRP. But guys, you can let me know your thoughts and opinions on all of this in the comments down below. Where do you sit on XRP's price action? Do you think we're going to see the kind of volatility that I'm expecting on the small time frames? And what about that 75 to 85 cent push to the upside in a massive breakout scenario on the daily time frame? Let me know. And also, what's your bull market targets for XRP? Join us in our free Discord and let's continue the conversations down there. While I'm at it, why don't you check out the technical analysis I've just done on Cardano just here.